Okay, so this is not the direction I wanted to take it in,
He
but
used to make videos about me, like literally. In 2013, that guy used to make videos about me nonstop.
so we got a comment on the full video of the podcast posted today from a guy called Mohammed Selmi. He said, please, one episode just dedicated to Jason Blaha. And I wanted to respond to this because we have a friend of Jason Blaha here, who's Pete. I don't watch Jason Blaha's stuff usually, but I'm still subscribed to his channel. Today yesterday he posted a video. Apparently he's being attacked by the Valley Girl Vegan Gains about his bench press or about his history with the mercenary thing. And I just want to advise people who don't like Jason Blaha to go watch that video. I bet you'll pity him a little bit and you realize that he's being, to be honest, I felt like, people should go a bit easy on him. Everybody makes mistakes in life, and he's admitted his mistakes and he seems to be honest on videos.
What were his mistakes?
He was very stressed out during a period of time on YouTube. And in that period, he was rude to people. And also he claimed to be a mercenary for hire. So, people were harsh on that. And he became sort of
He lied about that?
Yeah, you didn't know about this? Okay, so this is not the direction I wanted to take it in. But
he used to make videos about me, like literally. In 2013, that guy used to make videos about me nonstop.
That's true. I used to see them. But basically he claimed to be an assassin.
Oh God!
So that's
I knew nothing about him. I always just wrote him off. I thought he was a goofball.
No, but I felt sorry for him. So I just wanted to say, for the guys that are, if you watch that video, you realize the guy's trying his best, and you should never pick on somebody when they're down. In my opinion,
that's a good friend of yours, Pete, or is Leo being sarcastic?
No, I've always been friendly with him. So like, he's always been nice to me, and I've been nice to him. And he actually, like Leo knows Scott and Scott Davenport. He agreed to do a podcast with him.
Oh, like really?
He literally, I don't know if it's going to happen because he said I could be in on it, but he said that he would actually do it. But he said we're going to be trolled to death afterward because his trolls follow him everywhere. And Vegan Gains, that guy's always been super nice to me too. Like it's crazy.
Really?
Yeah, he comments on my stuff. He like wanted to do an interview with me, and I'm like, I kind of was like, not right now or whatever. But him and Jason have always been nice, so I'm just.
Well, it's because you're such a nice guy. Nobody can dislike you. So they dislike each other and then they come be nice to you afterwards.
Like, do you ever troll people, Pete, or you just stay in your lane?
No, I don't want to troll people. I feel like I don't like getting that back, I'm like, it comes full circle and then I get.
It sure does come full circle. Hey, let's do some cycle advice. So this week we had some cool questions.
But hey, that's pretty cool that you were able to build your name where it's at without any trolling,
Yeah, I mean, I used to be kind of a dick on trend, but I'm not gonna lie.
Do you believe it that Boston has like no psychological effects to trend?
Sometimes people say that. I don't know. I don't know.
That one fascinating, right? For me, it's like a life-changing thing. You take trend.
You're never.
I mean, 100 milligrams and it's life-changing. Maybe 20 you could get away with it, but 100 a day and it's life-changing. I become very weird.
Paranoid, angry.
Speaking about trend, I just got a phone consult today, and they actually watched the channel because they mentioned the channel at the end, and it was this guy and his wife, and he wants to do his first show, Men's Physique, and they're very nice. And one of her first questions for me is, if we wanted to hire you, can we avoid certain steroids for his contest prep? And I said, what steroid are you talking about? Like, she goes, I don't want him taking any trend because I guess he's like probably a maniac. And I started laughing because like it seems like these chicks just hate how their like dudes act on trend.
Yeah, they must, man. I was miserable on trend. Okay, so Aaron Stafford says he's doing a 12-week cycle of Test E 400 milligrams weekly, 25 milligrams of Anavar for the first 6 weeks pre-workout, and 25 milligrams of Anadrol pre-workout for the last 6 weeks. It's his first cycle ever. In response, a guy called Bo, not our Bo, but another Bo, said, personally, wouldn't start 2 compounds at once in your first cycle. Try test first. And he said, makes sense, but I want to push strength hard. So I thought this would be a cool one for Pete. If you were advising someone who's doing his first powerlifting cycle ever, would you advise that they not use so many compounds at once and try to get the most out of the least?
Yeah, I've got a guy like that now. He's like a freak of nature, and he's just on testosterone. And I told him, just use testosterone till we basically plateau. And like, I got to a point, I took so much stuff off the bat that like test felt natural. So you don't want to end up like that. I personally think 25 milligrams of Anadrol too, like I wouldn't do that for a first cycle or anything, but that's too low of a dose in my opinion. And I love Anavar. Anavar, I would do 50 milligrams, and you can run it for like longer periods of time, get crazy strength gains. It's like my favorite oral.
That's very true.
Strength.
What do you think, Boston?
I'm surprised he says. I'm surprised he said Anavar is his favorite oral for the powerlifting.
He doesn't respond to Anadrol. That's why. There's not many options.
Anadrol, Debo would probably be the first choice for that. But dude, I don't know if you guys have ever used like an injectable Trinabol or Inject T-ball, but there's something about Inject T-ball that it's like way different than the oral version. That's like one of my favorite injectable orals is injectable T-ball. But the only problem is they got to make that shit and all that glucol. That shit will stink your whole room up for the amount of glucol they have to make so that stuff doesn't crash. This cycle is like for a beginner, I guess for powerlifting, I would say what Pete said. I would bring the test to 500 mgs a week, and I just wouldn't use any orals until you plateau with strength, because I think somebody who's never used any gear before is going to respond a long time with strength gains on just 500 mgs a test.
I agree. The only thing I'd add on top of that is I think that if you use an oral every day, you lose some of the benefits of having an oral. One of the advantages is not having stable blood levels. If the compound comes in your body and out, you don't adapt to it and have what's called tachyphylaxis, reducing effects over time. So maybe it's a little bit less significant with Anavar, but with Anadrol, I think if you took it 3 times a week, you could take it longer with less liver damage and with more strength gains. What do you think, Pete?
See, that's something I never knew about until I started watching your recent stuff. I wish I had done it that way, where just like the off days from training, I didn't run the orals, but I ran them straight through. Like I run them for weeks on end, but I wish I had done that because I didn't even know about that.
Well, I just noticed it because when I started learning about other medicines, I noticed that the greatest adaptation happens when the drug has the longest half-life. So for example, Phenibut, you can get addicted to easier than baclofen, a shorter acting version. So that idea, that adaptation was what gave me that idea. So Carved Out a Stone, our buddy says, gonna try my question again. He said, want to try a last blast to see if I can make one last decent showing before easing up on this lifestyle. Haven't taken anything for a while. He's never taken more than 500 milligrams of testosterone. He's 47 years old. He wants to look his best, get some decent pictures, and not lose his hair, which is the problem. So I don't know if any of us are experts on hair, but I asked my buddy Derek sometimes, and it seems that testosterone with dutasteride or finasteride is somewhat safe on the hair for people that are very sensitive. And it seems that nandrolone without finasteride and dutasteride is somewhat safe on the hair. Some people even use nandrolone up to like 1 gram or 2 grams, but they look like crap probably on it with the water retention. So with that said, I don't know if you really can protect your hair and look that great. But what do you guys think? Boston, what do you think about this?
I don't know, man. I've never had hair problems, so I really never really got into it. There was a guy on my forum that was selling this hair formula that my clients really loved. It was like minoxidil.
Minoxidil, yeah.
Yeah, that was the main ingredient, but people liked it. But yeah, he's 47. I mean, it's get up there in age.
He's very fit, great physique. I mean, to comment on these, the idea is like he wants to look his best. So it's sort of like drugs that, I mean, unfortunately, the drugs that he's going to look for really affect the hair, like Masteron, Primo, Winstrol. All of these things will cause, basically, you want to use drugs that cause less water retention and harden you up, sort of like a pre-contest guy. On that topic, Pete, have you ever used halotestin?
Yeah, I ran that. This was like my last big cycle. I was trying to pull 900 pounds in a meet. So I was on like 2 grams of test and 1,500 NPP at the end. And then I was running like 40 milligrams of Halo. And I did it for 4 weeks. When I did 20 milligrams the first 2 weeks, I felt fine. When I bumped it to 40 for the last 2, the toxicity was crazy. I felt like I was going to throw up all the time. But strength is really good on it. Like I felt... I didn't feel as aggressive as Tren, which I was kind of somewhat upset about, but because I was hoping it would like hit as hard as Tren, which I didn't think it did. But the strength gains were good. It was just super liver toxic, albeit 40 milligrams is a really high dose.
Yeah. I was wondering if you'd respond to it since you responded to Anavar so well. Sorry, boss. What were you saying?
You see how he just said about the toxicity, how he was nauseous and wanted to puke all the time? If I run my drugs high, like as I got, like when I was at early 20s, I could take everything I wanted to be fine. Like after 25, 26, when I started taking the same amount of drugs, I would always feel nauseous and sick, and I wouldn't be able to eat, or I would feel like I'm a puke. I'm hoping that dialysis cleans me out better so I could fucking run a lot of gear.
until you get the transplant at least. But
no. I won't run gear on the transplant. I'm giving up at that point. But I'm saying while I'm on dialysis, I want to run my favorite cycle, which is a gram of all the cutting drugs.
okay, so what advice would you give this guy if he wants to look good? He's never used anything but testosterone. Boston, you're into the aesthetics thing. What Winstrol, Mastron, Primo?
I would say his best bet, even though Primo is still a DHT derivative, is probably going to be the least amount of.
No, it affects the hair, unfortunately. Let's pretend he didn't say anything about hair.
Oh. Test Primo Anavar.
Yeah, Winstrol would work also. Mastron would work also, right?
Yeah, but Winstrol for somebody at that age is going to dry the hell out of their joints.
Yeah, I could barely tolerate Winstrol in my early 20s. Hey, how do you like Winstrol, Pete, for strength?
I was always way too scared to do that because of the joint thing. I always heard about the joint thing. I was like, I don't want to touch this.
Yeah,
there were certain things that were a no-go. I'm like,
you touch it now.
I used Winstrol by accident. It was like a fake. I don't know what it was, but it was fake, and it was Winstrol in it in my early 20s. And I knew immediately. Like, I took it 2 days in a row. My joint starts hurting, but my bench press gained like 30 pounds or something like that. I was like, holy shit, this is great. I kept using it for about a week before I realized I'm going to injure myself. It wasn't working out. Okay, we'll move past this one. There's a couple more interesting ones. So the More Power says he's been cutting from 200 kg, over 400 pounds, and he started adding more muscle building compounds due to Corona and working from home, being able to train in the gym and have all cooked meals and stuff like that. He's currently 180 centimeters, so he's just above 5'10". He's 127 kg, about 25% body fat. So he wants to use Test E300, 100 milligrams of Mastron, Dianabol at 15 milligrams, and Proviron daily. So I just wanted to
advice to him is to stay natural.
Yeah, that's what I was going to. So if you're 25% body fat, brother, what's going to happen is you're going to contain so much fluid if you take these things. You're going to hurt probably your heart. You're going to look not great. I don't know how you feel about this, Boston, but I've lost body fat a lot of times, and sometimes I try to use androgens. If I try to use a bigger amount of androgens, it was hell. But if I use something like 200 to 500 milligrams of Test or Primo, something like that, it would help me lose body fat without retaining, probably Primo's better, without retaining so much fluid. Would you think he should just stay natural and lose weight?
Well, no, the Mastron at 100 mgs a weekly is going to do absolutely nothing.
Oh, no, yeah, absolutely.
The Dianabol at 15 mgs will give him maybe a little bit, but it's also going to bloat him. Proviron at 25 mgs daily, to me, that's pointless.
Yeah, I would never use Dianabol if I was fat, especially.
You bring the testosterone up to 500 and run it with an anti-estrogen.
Exactly, or run Primo at 600, something like
500 Test, 300 Primo.
Yeah, that would work. Exactly, that's true. That might be a little bit high also for the amount of body fat he has, but good point. Okay, we'll go to, so Dan the Man says, for a slow lean bulk, weeks 1 through 10, he's either going to use 400 or 600 of Test Sip. And then he's going to use Tren E at 200 milligrams a week, also split from Pharmacom. I don't know what that is. This will be his first time trying Tren. He knows everybody recommends ACE. That's my first comment. Do not use enanthate unnecessarily. There's no need to, right? And then he's going to use Anadrol 25 to 50 milligrams per day the last 4 to 6 weeks of the 10-week cycle. And he might throw in CJC and Ipamorelin before bed too for the whole cycle. What do you guys think about this?
Yeah, I like this cycle. I mean, I obviously would recommend him running 600 mgs of the SIP. 200 mgs of Tren E, 100 mgs twice a week. That's fine. At that low a dose, he probably doesn't even need an anti-prolactin drug. 25 mgs to 50 mgs of Anadrol the last 4 to 6 weeks. Only run that if you could eat properly, because a lot of people kill their appetite. I do suggest people who run orals take 500 mgs of Oxbile 3 times a day.
Yeah, or you could take, what I take, Boston, is Tudka 1,000 milligrams 3 times a day. It's the same as Oxbile. Both of them are,
Yeah, that works too with the NAC.
I take it with NAC, with alpha lipoic acid, with a couple other free radical scavengers.
The Oxbile will help with digestion big time.
Yeah, so I wanted to comment on a couple of things. First one is CJC and Ipamorelin work very similarly. If you wanted to combine things, I would combine CJC with a ghrelin mimetic like MK, because those will have slightly different effects. These two are GHRH analogs, but they're not ghrelin analogs. So that's, by the way, Boston, that's why CJC may also add additional benefits when you add it to growth hormone. I realized, I was thinking about it. The CJC causes your own brain to produce growth hormone. So you produce all the molecular weights of growth hormone. There's over 4 of them. But when you inject it, you only have 1 kDa molecular weight of growth hormone. So they have different effects. So you'll probably get better effects if you combine either CJC or Ipamorelin with ghrelin with like MK677 with the growth hormone. You get the whole array of effects.
Well,
and then obviously
doing it before bed though, so you don't want to take something that's going to make you hungry like right before you go to bed though.
yeah, in fact, I mean that's a good point. You could take the CJC before bed and the ipamorelin before bed, but if you took the ghrelin, you'd want to take it in the morning because it also affects adrenaline and dopamine, all that, and it'll screw up your sleep.
I have my clients do like GHRP post workout with CJC, and then before bed a fat shot of IPAM like 500 mcgs with CJC DAC.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good point. And then I wanted to say, I think if you're just using 200 milligrams of Tren E, you might not experience many side effects, but it's always better to start with ACE so you know what the feeling of the drug is. You know what I mean? Okay. This is the one we just did. Okay, the final one. So KY Kota says, first cycle, 4 years on TRT. He's 39. He's 6'5" at 250. He wants to do 6 weeks of 500 tests, 200 DECA, 60 milligrams Anavar pre-workout, 4 units of growth hormone post-workout, and HCG microdoses of 250 units 3 times a week. He's 6 weeks with Norals, last 4 weeks. He's going to use 40 milligrams pre-workout. He has a Remadex. He'd like to be as fertile as possible during this cycle. Any suggestions would be awesome. Thank you for doing such great work. One first suggestion I would have is that the thing that would most turn off... Oh, he doesn't have DECA here, does he? Oh yeah, he has DECA. So that is the thing that will most inhibit fertility on cycle. But you could be doing other things to affect your fertility. You could keep estradiol low. You could block those opiate receptors on the video that's coming up. You could use HCG at a real dose, not the microdose. So the lowest dose used in studies is 1,500 units for fertility studies. So maybe you could use 1,000, but 250 is ridiculous. What do you think, Boston?
That's pointless. He needs to bring HCG to 500 3 times a week.
Bro, I remember when I was in Dubai in my early 20s, I bought these steroids from the steroid dealer. He's a hulking, massive guy. And I was like, I need HCG. I need a lot of HCG. He was like, why do you need HCG? I was like, what is it your business? I want HCG. Give me HCG. Then he was like, how much are you going to use? I said, I was going to use 2,500 units twice a week. He was like, that's crazy. Use 250 units once a week. I was like, what is this? People just make up stuff, bro. And then later I read the studies and it's like, nobody uses that dose ever. No wonder it didn't work. Anyway,
some of these places at the fertility clinics, they just throw the HCG in there at low dosages. It's just so they can charge more.
I was wondering, Boston, because all the fertility clinics are like 150 units HCG once a week.
Push it so hard, dude. It's just to take people's money.